To my future self, I'm doing this for you. 9 years of silence, 9 years of struggle, afraid of what society would say, afraid of being judged, but I'm breaking free from that silence today. A case of premium quality diapers every single month for free. No more sacrificing dignity for affordability. So, if you're struggling to afford diapers or wondering how to accept premium quality diaper products on a limited budget, this video is for you guys. Let's break down the barriers and challenge the stigma together. So, welcome to a paradigm shift. The disability benefit plus free diapers. Hey guys, so in this video I really want to be talking about something that was just very personal part of my life that I was wanting to talk about for about a year now, but because there was a lot of things to unpack, and especially with the government stuff, there was just a lot of paperwork, so it obviously took a bit of time to get approved for Odsp, which is government assistance basically. But I knew I wanted to do a video on this, but I wanted to approach it in a way that was a little bit different. One thing that I haven't really come across in a video was someone talking about like the emotional toll of it all, like the real stuff, like what it actually feels like to apply for government assistance, the doubt one carries because that was really hard. And the shame people try to put on you, and the feeling of guilt, and you know what, even the quiet wins, where it's like you get a free case of diapers every single month, and it's like in addition to a monthly deposit, like, and then you start to think, wait, this actually helps me. Why did I wait 8 years to apply for this? I wanted to film this video and talk about it, but also talk about it with how it felt for me as someone who's 27 applying for disability support when this is something I probably should have applied for when I was 19. But it's one of those things of better late than never, right? I just want to talk about it in this video in the hopes that this could honestly help any one of you who haven't even applied for government assistance with either having a physical disability, maybe even incontinence. Maybe you can get your diapers covered, just saying. And yeah, so I just hope you're watching this video right now, you're applying for government assistance, because you'll thank me later. So this video honestly isn't just going to be about the paperwork and the benefits, but it's going to be about what happens when life just forces you to pivot. And I'm just hoping that this video honestly helps fill that gap, even like just in like the tiny bit, like a little bit. But before I begin this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and for now, I hope you guys enjoy this video. Honestly, I never thought I'd be here. An autoimmune disease diagnosis at 19, to then being 27 years old, sitting in front of an Odsp application with words like permanently disabled. She has aggressive multiple sclerosis, and you know what? This disease will progressively get worse. And so I sat on my bed and I cried as I thought, how do I explain this to my 70-year-old dad that I need help while in my 20s? You know, I struggled in silence for so many years, but this was the moment where I felt like I showed up for myself. And I'm proud of myself for even doing that, because it took me 7 years to finally set my pride aside. Applying for disability support honestly was something I thought would happen much later on in life. Not now, not when I was still trying to figure out who I was. But MS honestly doesn't really care about your timeline. And I was just so tired of pretending I was fine when I wasn't, struggling in silence, tired of pushing through pain just to avoid feeling like a burden. And when it came time to apply for Odsp, well, honestly, I broke down more than once. It felt like an admission, like I was giving up. I always pride myself on being independent and figuring things out, or not needing to burden anyone. The reality of my day-to-day felt like surrendering a version of myself I just wasn't ready to let go of. But then something shifted, and I realized this wasn't giving up. This was showing up for myself. The paradigm shift is kind of like realizing that honoring my needs was not a sign of weakness, but it was power. And if I wasn't going to choose myself now, then when was I going to do that? And so that's where I began my Odsp application, which took a couple of months. Canada Post being on strike also didn't help either. It was kind of annoying, but it's fine. That's for another time. But 7 years post-diagnosis, and it's been a journey. But Pri, what was holding you back all these years? Why did you choose to apply now and not then? And this actually just gets into my next point. So the silent struggle is where it all started, the part where my disability met societal expectations. This was hard because what happens when you're unable to work that 9-to-5 job? You know, that thing that society drills into our heads at a young age of, in order to thrive in life, you have to work that 9-to-5 job. But then what happens when life forces you to pivot? Hard. This was honestly hands down the hardest part for me, really, because it's like, think about it. At 17, I started university. At 19, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, and at 23, I didn't just have one, but I had 2 university degrees. But how many people will be able to tell you that they're educated all while having relapsed X amount of times, and all in the midst of being in university? Yet I'm the one that gets looked at like I have no work ethic because I decided to apply for a disability benefit because your girl needs some help. But like I said, I felt like I was forced to pivot, and it just happened so sudden as well, where it's like you have to learn to make the most out of the things out of your control, as I've said in many of my videos. But this is the part where the silent struggle comes in, because God forbid you ask for help, it's almost as if you just want that free handout. And this just gets into my next point. So anyone who's ever bought diapers would know that it can get expensive. But I found that a lot of the times it would come from the context of having a baby. You know, parents plan for it, they know they'll need diapers, wipes, changing supplies, and all that stuff. But no one plans to become disabled. No one budgets for incontinence. You don't grow up thinking, I better start saving up for adult diapers. And now that's what makes it hard, where it's like the cost hits you out of nowhere, where it's like it happens every single day, every month, every week, and for some of us, it's for a lifetime. So to go off to the part where I've talked about the silent struggle helps you build pride because you earned it without support. You earned it in the dark and in private, and that's what makes it yours, right? Now, that was the mentality I had. And because of this, I paid for not only my diapers at a point, but also my rollator without the help of Odsp because I felt guilty. So the 1.4K that my rollator was, honestly, it was so worth it. But at what cost? Because had I just set my pride aside, I could have had just gotten my rollator covered by the government. Do I have any regrets thinking about that now? Honestly, no. Because I know exactly why I did what I did. Because I knew that if I looked at that rollator, I knew it would have meant more for me if I knew I worked for it rather than just been given a free handout, because that's what people drilled into my head for asking for help.
Just because I have a platform doesn't mean I don't need support. I've been featured on big platforms, Vice, People, ITV's This Morning Show, In Control, North Shore, and I still need help. You can be inspiring and still be in need. You can be uplifting and still be on your knees. You can be visible and still be vulnerable, and I speak up, not because I'm sponsored, but because someone out there deserves the unfiltered truth.
So when I started the disability application, honestly for me, it was just very overwhelming. It was overwhelming for me, not because I didn't believe that I wasn't disabled. I have multiple sclerosis. But it was because I didn't know how to prove it in a way that made sense on paper. So it was just very overwhelming, right? So early on, when I was going through all the paperwork and stuff, I figured I had to put everything into a planner. Okay, Pri loves her planning. Okay, so like this is my planner right here. And it's like, it fans out. It's really cool. But then I was just like, I need some color. I put in, I'm just gonna pull it out to show you guys. I put in like rose gold sheets to separate each section in this planner. And I just keep everything in there so I know where to look, because I have brain fog. If someone calls me from the government, I'm not going to remember what I did, so now I can actually look through everything here. This entire application, it was just really interesting to have to reduce your lived experiences, and to a degree, honestly, that itself just felt kind of dehumanizing, because it's like, how are you to only give me a couple of lines to write my life story to you and then expect to get approved by Odsp? Basically, there's a section for me to fill out, and then there's also a section for your medical practitioner. Now for me, I I'm in Canada, so we get family doctors, right? And usually it's assigned at birth, but sometimes it changes depending on your situation or whatever. But I was able to either ask my family doctor or my neurologist to fill out these forms for me. And I decided to go with my neurologist, which is my specialist, which is for special people. So I was like, I need to ask my neurologist to fill these forms out for me because I feel like it'll be more to the government to see some specialist filling out forms for me rather than a family doctor that everyone gets. So I asked my neurologist to fill it out. He did charge me, I think it was $50. It wasn't bad. I was just really happy that he even signed these forms for me because I wasn't sure if he would. So I've heard a lot about how people say how doctors don't usually sign government documents and stuff like that, especially when it comes to Odsp. So I was really nervous about that. I remember going into the office last year and I brought the paperwork with me and I was telling my neurologist, I was like, you know, I really want to apply for Odsp, and then before I can even continue, the first thing he says to me is, I could fill it out for you. You were on a clinical trial for 5 years with Ocrevus. I can fill it out for you. Just send the forms to the nurse and I'll fill it out. And I was like, oh my gosh, being a lab rat for 5 years is paying off now. And I was really happy about it. But the reason why he did that, I didn't understand it at the time last year, but I understand it now that I'm looking at videos of TikTok of people complaining about how their doctors won't sign forms. But my neurologist told me he's never signed any forms for Odsp for any of his patients before. And this is his first time. I thought he just said that just for saying that. But I was like, no, I think he's telling the truth because some doctor specialists really won't sign these things, right? There's one section where I fill out and then there's like a larger section that the medical practitioner fills out. Like they give you like kind of like the subheadings of the things to talk about. Like in this, they take up this much space to tell you what to talk about, okay? I'm like, dude, you only had to give me one sentence and I would give you like 10 pages if you let me. But apparently there's a word count on this. So there's like, they give you like this much writing telling you what they want. So that's exactly what I did. They gave me this much space. While some people might think that's a lot of space, that's not a lot of space, okay? When you're asking me to tell my life story, give me 10 pages. Why are you giving me like a quarter of a page? Basically what I write there is how my disability affects me, right? And after that is where the neurologist fills in the forms and stuff like that. This application, it was only to get approved for Odsp, right? What came along with that was another form called Mandatory Special Necessities Benefit Request. And I was like, ooh, I hope this covers my diapers. So I actually looked in this section in here, and there's actually a section for diapers, where it's like disposables, and then you have to say how much you need per day, per week, and all that stuff. And then my neurologist also signed that for me too. That was great. That's when I was able to get my diapers covered, when I sent in the Mandatory Special Necessity Benefit form. Everything was honestly just a very long process, honestly, but you just have to be very patient with the government stuff. It took about a year to get approved, to be completely honest with you, to get what I wanted. I wanted to apply for Odsp to get the benefits, because it also comes along with other benefits as well. And then another thing I really wanted was to get my diapers covered, and I get exactly that. And I got assigned a caseworker when I did apply for Odsp. Again, a lot of paperwork. My caseworker did tell me that I had to give her like a supplier, so then I kind of just gave her Healthwick, because on Healthwick they have different diapers. It's not just one brand. And I chose Healthwick too because that's where I get the extra small Megamax from, and it just works out. And they also have other diapers there too if extra small decides to get discontinued. Honestly, Adam, I'm really hoping you're watching this video right now because I really hope you never discontinue the extra smalls. I'm really hoping you don't, but yeah. People come in different shapes and sizes, okay? If you're making a diaper, you should enforce body positivity. But in order to enforce body positivity, how are you to do so if you're not catering to smaller people? Just a thought. Honestly, with this application, it was hard for me to fill out. But I told the truth, and even when it was messy, even when I second guessed every single word I wrote down on here because I wasn't sure what would classify me as disabled enough, that was hard for me because I was just like, I don't want someone to tell me I'm not disabled enough. Like, I already feel it. I already feel like I'm disabled enough. Having filled out those two separate documents by me and then the neurologist, I not only get a deposit every single month, but I also get my diapers covered in addition to that deposit. So I thought that was pretty cool because I really didn't think that would be possible. And I'm not talking about the medical garbage. I'm talking about the premium quality diapers. They get covered. And it's really interesting too because I have some friends in America telling me how they only get medical diapers covered. And I was like, wow, oh my gosh, thank you, Canada. I was like, I cannot do another medical diaper. It was not it for me. It was really interesting because when I actually spoke to my caseworker on the phone, I asked her, I was like, how many diapers can I get? And she was like, you can get as many diapers as you need. And that's when I brought up a case to her, right? She goes, yeah, so just write down you need a case every single month. And if some months you need 2 cases, write that down as well, and we could send you 2 cases too. So I think I spoke to someone from Healthwick as well over the phone. So it was really cool because it's set up through Healthwick because Healthwick is my supplier. And it comes within a couple of days. So every 7th of the month, I get a new case of diapers. It's so exciting. So before I end this video, there was something I wanted to mention because this is something I wish I also heard about 8 years ago or heard someone say to me. And it's that you're not alone, and needing support doesn't make you any less valid or your voice less valid. It just makes it even more important. So just smile a little because I think it's your imperfections that make you so beautiful.
The paradigm shift activated. Diapered, dignified, and done explaining myself. Period.